Hey guys, we are here today to replace the splitter support rods on the Mark 6 GTI with the DIY cable one. This should allow it to be a little bit more flexible and just give it some different properties to the stiff, rigid rod that we have on there right now. Plus there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 7 screws for each rod, and that gets kind of annoying because they always come undone. You gotta constantly look at them. So I'm hoping this cable is a one and done fix, and then we could just enjoy the car, not have to worry about the splitter breaking because it was kind of expensive. So the theory is with the cables is that it allows the splitter to flex a little bit. It can go up, so if it hits anything, it doesn't just push those rigid rods right through the bumper and just to kind of destroy everything really. And then it also allows it to flex a little bit down, almost like active aero in Formula One. Kind of really cool if you think about it. So you give it a little bit, they said about 1/4 inch of slack in the one that I read, so that it can flex down a little bit and give you some more downforce. Kind of really cool. These rods have just kind of given me a lot of issues. There's 18,000 different screws and they just keep coming undone. I'm kind of over it. I want something that'll just be better. So of course I'm keeping the rods just in case I mess up the cable. I bought bolt cutters to cut the cable and to crimp the little clamps that I have. May or may not work, so I've got to keep those as backups. But I'm really interested to see how this plays out, see if it bends up or down or whatever it does, and really just if it holds well. I'm really liking the idea of the active aero. Kind of makes it seem like I know what I'm doing, but a lot of you know that I really don't. I'm just here to have fun. So we're gonna get in. Let's replace those rods with some nice new cable. So when I was doing research on these cables and figuring out what thickness to get, I settled on 1/8 inch cable because it can hold 325 pounds of force, and we've got 2 supporting it, so that just means it's a little bit less that it needs to deal with. And CJM did some testing on a Mark 7 front splitter, slightly different design than this one, and with lowering about 48 millimeters, which my car is not lowered, they had about 275 pounds of downforce on the front wing. So 75 pounds of downforce on the front splitter isn't 325 pounds that will be going onto these steel cables. So I feel pretty confident with that, just kind of leaving it as is. Because of multiple repairs and adaptations to the front splitter, removal of the rods wasn't as easy or straightforward as I would have liked, but we got her done. I'm gonna reuse the U clamps that came with this kit just because they're already mounted to the bumper up here, and I'm fine with that. That hasn't given me issues, and it's just an easy way to route the cable through. All right, what screwdrivers were made for? Ow! I had that coming. Oh yeah, and the 1/8 inch fits just through it. It's perfect. Crimping idea, but doesn't seem to want to crimp too bad. I got bolt cutters that are kind of dull that I'm gonna try to use. They're from Harbor Freight, so they're not terribly. I really should be using gloves with this stuff. About 4 feet of cable just to be sure. Now I'm gonna try this nice and gentle because it's supposed to cut stuff, so. Yeah, if you do it gentle enough, I think it just nice and crimps. Oops. Well, something tells me that's not going anywhere. Look at, ow! Gosh darn it. I'm putting gloves on and using the restroom. Gloves. Another thing. There it goes. I mean, you can find this stuff right at Lowe's. It's not really uncommon stuff. Pull it out. Yeah, there we go. That's why you buy a couple extra feet. I'm gonna have to cut the end off. There were many options for support cables when I did my research. Anything from full kits for $70 to complete DIY. Shout out to the dude who did the hardware store steel cable supports like I'm doing here on his Miata. Totally rad idea. Plus, having never worked with these materials before, it was still rather easy to figure out and do on my own. I know many of you out there have more experience than me, and we'll make this a 20-minute DIY for you. In all, I spent $30 on tools and materials. $15 at Lowe's for 4 feet of 1/8 inch steel cable and 5 ferrules and stops. One extra in case I messed up with the bolt cutters I got from Harbor Freight for $15. The bolt cutters were rather dull and only kinda cut the cable, but with gentle pressure and a watchful eye, they crimped the cable incredibly efficiently. Aside from the now 4 scars the cable gave me, install on the passenger side was simple and quick. Using some of the components from Strafe's support rods made this a much quicker process than removing the whole front bumper, and once I was done with the driver's side, it was time to test out my new F1 style Active AERO. Truth be told, that swap over was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, and honestly I think they look cooler just different than the support rods. I think they might function a little bit better. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to replace the passenger side one because I think it's just a touch too long. I know it's supposed to be longer, but I think that was just a little bit too long. We'll see on the footage that I have on the GoPro mounted to the front splitter if it's actually gonna need to be replaced or not. Because I think it's a little flappy up there, but I like it. It is really cool. I wanna look at the footage once I'm done driving a little bit and maybe get up to some higher speeds and just see what it looks like. Holy cow, it works. It actually works. We have Active AERO! This test was only residential speeds, but if you look closely at the tension on the cable, at speed, there is less slack than stationary. Once I get comfortable with this support and the GoPro suction mount, we'll test this at higher speeds and see what happens. As proof, here's stills side by side to show how the downforce is applied to this splitter. Man, I think it's really fun. I think it's really cool. Just different. It makes this thing really feel like my own car, because it is. It's just something I've been working on and putting a lot into, and I absolutely love it. The more I put into this car, the more I do just fall in love. It's so cool. All these different things that I'm learning how to do, and working with wire and bolt cutters was just something, I mean, it's steel cable, not wire. Just something a little different. It was really fun to implement on this car, and I really do think it looks fantastic. These cables have the look of a muscle car's hood pins. They're fantastic. Plus, how custom they look makes me never want to go back to rods. Those rods were too short for where I mounted them, my fault. So having any length cable I want is a real plus for sticking with this system long term. Also, I just got a Zhiyun stabilizer and had to test it out. But we'll see how it fares in the coming weeks. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. Have a great day. And remember, Jesus loves you. Bye.